Hey guys, welcome to my channel. I'm Greg. I'm going to go over the cryptocurrency market. I wasn't able to do, for those who want to know, I wasn't able to do videos for a couple days because pretty much had a sore throat. Tried to do it, and it wasn't working out too well at all for me. So I just had to rest and take a break from the voice for a little bit. Not so much my voice, but a little bit of my just let my throat rest and stuff, guys. Still have a little bit of it. You might notice that when I'm speaking, might sound a little goofy at times, and that's because of that reason. So I was out for a few days, or a couple days, I should say. Now I should be pretty much be back. And we're going to talk about the cryptocurrency market, Bitcoin, and some other assets. And Bitcoin is pretty much in the same spot it was a couple days ago, for the most part, down a little bit. And what is it going to be doing down here? Who knows? Is it going here? Is it going to 17? Is it stopping there? Going up now? Have no idea. But what we could do is we go to the Bitcoin cheat sheet, which is GBTC. So I want to go over this asset right here and make it a little bit easier to explain some things. Okay. So you have GBTC. This asset has nothing else in its portfolio except Bitcoin. Okay. So Bitcoin goes, those are new to my channel. Bitcoin goes up, this goes up. Bitcoin goes down, this goes down. You can actually check from these points, this point to this point, this point to this point. Pretty much GBTC falls about the same percentage as Bitcoin. As a matter of fact, recently in this area right here, GBTC has gone down more than Bitcoin from its point inside this little area that we're going to talk about too. And GBTC, in my opinion, is in this expanding diagonal at some point in the future, whenever it wants to get done from going from here to here or something like that, remains to be seen, basically, guys. So that's really the deal. And you can see down here in the weekly RSI that it's down right there. That's the third wave peak. I'll blow this up a little bit for you, and I'll show you. That's the third wave peak right there. So that's a area with the most momentum, and it came back up and it's swinging back down around, creating bullish divergence right here. Okay. And that area. Okay. It's similar to Bitcoin in a way, but Bitcoin hasn't broken the low. Okay. So Bitcoin right here has gone up and now it's down. So GBTC in this area went up. Now it's coming down, and what's diagonal in my opinion. And Bitcoin went up and now it's coming down in some goofy structure that it's done in here. It's very hard to suss this out. If you had only the Bitcoin chart, I would agree you'd probably be pretty bearish on Bitcoin. I'm not that bearish as far as downside risk of Bitcoin. Could it go to the box or something like 17.5 or something like that? Yes, it could. Maybe even 16. It could. But these $10,000 and 8,000 numbers and these numbers, it's not going to be going down there, in my opinion, without a pretty significant trek back up to probably near 30,000, and then it could start working its way going down there. But the biggest issue that I see, that I mentioned previously in my videos, for assets like this and like Bitcoin, is just going sideways for quite some time. That's going to be the issue, in my opinion, doing exactly what it's doing. This has been a pretty boring market in Bitcoin for over 2 months. See, if we go from, let's say, right there, August of 22, all the way over here to October, almost 2 months. So basically from here to here, it's been in this range for 2 months. And could be the same thing possibly over here too. Of course it would, because it's matched with Bitcoin. Now, the situation here, if we were in a halfway decent macro environment where nobody was scared to buy assets, which is understandable. Everybody thinks, I mean, most people are conditioned to think that Bitcoin and these assets are going to continue to go down. It's understandable. But how long are we going to stay? How long are these assets going to stay in this sideways range is what I'm thinking. How long is it going to take? Because all the macro headwinds are It's not keeping those assets from going up. It's keeping the people from deciding to make a change in their mind and going in, oh, let me go ahead and plop a little bit in Bitcoin. They're not even getting to that point, guys. Not yet. So how much longer? Well, you have the Fed. I estimate the Fed's going to have to do 75 basis points in November, and then a 50, and then a 25. And I've seen that on the news a couple times, so that's pretty much what they're saying. However, the other issue too with Bitcoin is there's going to be a pretty significant recession, in my opinion. It's all right there in the charts. That's going to be coming too. So the other problem that's going to be going on, in my opinion, with Bitcoin is Bitcoin's running out of time. Okay, that's the other issue. Bitcoin is running, if it stays sideways, 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 it's running out of time to be able to make significant moves. Now, could it do a 28 to 30K move? It could do that, sure. And then you can make quite a substantial amount of money, probably in some alts with some pretty good setups if Bitcoin does that. As you can see, for those that follow my channel, as you can see, here's reserve rights that is started into a sequence, and it's looking like it wants to go bullish. As a matter of fact, reserve rights over here would probably be flying a lot better if it wasn't for the macro environment. And reserve rights has gone up in the sequence, is correcting it. It's having a nice reaction out there. So it's probably going to do fairly well, in my opinion. It's going to have much deeper corrections like this because of the macro environment, like it had over here. As you can see, though, if you go down the RSI, this 8-hour RSI, it went all the way down there and took everything out. Telling you that's probably a second wave correction is all that it did. Is it done? Who knows? But this to me was expected, and it's going to have deeper corrections in these assets for some of them, unless they're strong assets like Matic as an example, and they're going to go deeper. But they're still probably going to be able to pull off a bullish sequence of sorts. It's just going to take a long time, and it's going to be a lot arduous, if you will. That's a word I came up with, and it's going to be a lot more frustrating. Okay. So with GBTC, go back to GBTC, which is a cheat sheet, and looking at it, GBTC is setting itself up to make this move. When it will do that, who knows? Or it's going to be sideways. Okay, it's all written all over the chart. It's been in a correction for a grand total of 609 days, guys. This thing's been in a correction for almost 2 years. 2 years, and it's dropped a total of, it's at 80, basically you could say 82% from its high. So it has an 82% drop. It's been a correction for 2 years, and there's people who are still talking about shorting assets like that. You don't want to short these types of assets. Could you do fairly decent, from here to here? Yeah, probably. But I think it's just kind of getting a little bit foolish at that point. You're just basically, the reason anybody's shorting right now, in my opinion, is because of the media and what's going on in the macro environment. Okay, that's it. They're not going off this chart. They're not going, oh, this is a great chart to short. No. Just going to be a matter of time what's going on in there. So the other reason why I'm going to go over this chart is to let you guys know the end of it, what GBTC is doing. There's some people new on my channel, is what's called an ending diagonal, or this is a descending wedge. This pattern right here, when it's done and finished with this pattern, this is a bullish pattern. Normally, the majority of the time, the assets go down into these descending wedges, they go down in this descending wedge and they break to the upside, usually pretty aggressive. Elron was a recent one, right? Went right down to about $45 and just broke right out of there and went into its sequence because it was finishing off something. Descending wedges are usually a clue that it's coming to the end of something to finish something off. And GBTC, in my opinion, is probably going to be playing around in here and maybe come back down, I would say 6 or 7 or maybe 8%. And you can see these are pretty significant drops. So if I go from this point all the way down here, you can see that's 27%. That's a 31% drop that it did. And Bitcoin over here, if I just go from the top over here, guys, you can see that top over there on Bitcoin to there, that's 25. You can see it's not even as far as a drop on that asset like right here, but it's going to have another 5 or 7% drop. So you can safely assume that Bitcoin is probably going to could have that potentially same amount of drop, even though it's less. But let's just go conservatively and say 7-8%. You're actually looking at Bitcoin not even breaking the low yet. If it does the same thing, that's going to be going on over here. You can do this with Ethereum too. Ethereum has the grayscale, and look at its chart, and it's coming up more or less doing a similar type pattern and coming up to end something right there too. So I don't think there's much downside for Ethereum either, guys. You might see $1,000 in Ethereum or something like that. Might hear with Bitcoin see these numbers, or maybe a breakdown to 16. Just really going to depend on what GBTC is going to be doing in here and its grind. As you can see too, from this high down to here on this 4-hour chart, you're starting to get a significant amount of bullish divergence on the daily right here a little bit. So it's going to come lower in price down here, and you'll have your bullish divergence. And then from this point to this point over here, you'll have bullish divergence again. As you can see, much lower in the RSI, and it's going to be much lower in price over here, but higher in the RSI. So that's the divergence between here, like this. I will show you. You have higher price right there, and then a lower price right there. And then you have lower RSI, and you have higher RSI, creating between this and this, your divergence, bullish divergence, giving you the signal that more than likely this is going to be going up. And it will be going up. How significant that will go up, who knows? It's due for that anyhow. Just with the setup on GBTC, which is going to basically give you the idea what's happening with Bitcoin, is that if I'm looking at this asset and it's going to finish this move right here, it's going to have a move up, particularly with the amount that it's dropped, how long it's been into a correction, and just looking at the signals and everything that's going on. It's common sense to me that this is going up and that Bitcoin won't be flying down to these $10,000 numbers. All anybody with any sense that's out there in their YouTube videos, all they have to do is go look at the GBTC chart, and it should clear up. It should clear up for them. If it doesn't, they have to go work on themselves and get their mind right, in my opinion. Okay? I could be wrong. I don't think so. All right, guys. So going over reserve rights too, and just some other, well, not reserve rights. I was going to go over some other assets with you real brief. I'm not sure which one I want to pick up. I know a new one that a guy sent me that I'm going to check out. And also the deal is with the assets. I posted some assets I was looking at on Twitter. Just because the environment that we're in right now, you're going to have to be even more particular with your choosing of which assets that are going to be doing fairly well with really, really good setups. And at the same time, too, you're going to have to be extremely patient with that, too, because they're just not going to, it's going to be the type of environment for these assets where you might have a coin like reserve rights and you think it's going to be in this correction for 1, 2, 3 months, and then all of a sudden decides to go bullish or something like that. So that's going to be the different Polkadot. Polkadot's at the bottom. These coins are at the bottom, guys. Most of these coins have fallen from 85 to 97 to 99%. There's not much more room for them to the downside. Could they drop 5, 10%, 20% or something like that and go swing up and down in there? Yes, they could. The biggest risk that I see is they're just not going anywhere. And that's a risk because that's not a good use of your capital. If you can take your money and stick it over in another asset that's actually going up at the time, for example, like Quant, okay, then you're making good use of your capital. If it's just sitting there, that's not good use of your capital. It's a whole lot better than losing it, though, and watching it go down. But that, it's not good use of your capital. So just going through some of the assets like Elron and, Polkadot. Still interested in EOS, even though EOS dumped pretty good and it went well beyond my $1.07. Still not really too concerned about that yet, in my opinion. Like an example of Phantom, taking a look at Phantom, it's getting awfully close to this previous low of 19 cents. You see, it went all the way down to almost 19 cents. And it's going up and it's going all the way around. Nobody's interested in the coin. Nobody's interested in the coin. Phantom is a coin. It seems to be a coin that it's not going to go up unless Bitcoin goes up. That's the message that it's sending me. I'm not going to do anything till the market is bullish, is the message, particularly probably Bitcoin and Ethereum. But just looking at some of the other coins, like KSM, KSM is questionable too. The reason I like KSM out of the Polkadot ecosystem, guys, is a limited supply. That's pretty much it. I think Polkadot is just, I think it's a little bit overrated right now, guys, especially the ecosystem. And they've been having a lot of issues. They've been coming out. They came out some ragtag coins over there. Matic. You have coins in like Matic and in Quant, where Quant has done really, really well. For those that got into it in the 40s and 50 range. I mean, you didn't have to get in if you got in late at 45 or $50. You've done a 3x and made a good use of your capital during the bearish time where everybody's whining and crying about, they're still waiting for the $10,000 Bitcoin to jump into the market. So basically what I'm saying is that you're going to have to be very, very particular about which coins that you're going to be putting your, in my opinion, not financial advice, your funds into buying, which coins you're going to buy or do any trades with or any swing trades with. Because the risk is that you might be waiting for a long time before they do anything. Eventually they will. You just, you're not going to be making much. Or if you want to trade it or something like that, a smaller time frame instead of waiting for a significant swing up. So at the end of the day, what's the moral of the story? When's Bitcoin going to start doing anything? Don't know that answer. But I will say this, Bitcoin's running out of time, guys. It's running out of time. It needs to do something soon. So what I mean is that Bitcoin, it needs to get done with whatever needs to get done here within 45 days and start doing something because it's running out of time because the real problems are rapidly coming in the economy. You think they're bad now? It's going to be the recession. That's what's coming. And then that's the biggest issue. Bitcoin is running out of time to be able to get that done. It's not going to be able to finish up its correction in January and then go to like 50 or 55K by March, if you will, or April or something like that. Could it blast up like that? It could, but I doubt it. It's not going to be some sort of massive wave 3 with all the momentum in it to make it blast up and do that. I don't see it. So that's the biggest issue that I see with Bitcoin, that it needs to do something, finish whatever it's doing in here, and it needs to start making moves soon. It's soon. It just can't keep hanging out in here because then it runs out of time. And as you can see, there's less time now for it to actually start making significant moves to drive the rest of the market out of there. That is some of the plan. That's what I was hoping for. I thought that this would be at the starting sooner than it is right now. But just the macro environment is delaying everything, if you will. Nobody wants to buy Bitcoin. The sellers, for the most part, when it comes to retail, the sellers are done. Okay, there's no more selling as retail. There are big ones out there, possibly, and there's nobody wants to buy it. Yeah, 85% of the market. I look at the what do they call these polls on Twitter and on YouTube. Everybody's expected to go to 10 grand. And one of the purposes of the market is to frustrate you out of the market at the bottom. People will go away because it's not doing anything. All right, guys, that's the end of my video. If you made it all the way to the end, do me a huge favor, drop a like, hit the subscribe button. Peace.